But like, does her
already
foot
done.
appear in other movies? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, is it in Wolf of Wall
This is a
Street?
weird website. You just go to this website and it just gives you pictures
Of feet.
There's not even text.
There's no like nothing. Just
Can you search for people?
Well, that's what I did.
Oh,
This is
so you
Margot
searched-
Robbie.
You search
We
Margot
are
Robbie.
treading dangerous territory.
yeah.
We're gonna get put into a category of YouTube channels.
Because now like all our phones are gonna give us like Dr. Scholl's and like
Displaying page 1, picture 1 through 100 of 1600.
Episode 63.
I like these notes. Very good notes.
Courtney, I'm gonna need you to stop reading show notes. Pay attention
'Cause I didn't make it to the pre-production meeting.
to what we're getting into right now.
So over there at the what's it called? The craft services.
That's right.
Spirit shop.
All right. Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Potato time.
Origin series. Origin series.
What did you call it? Oregon?
No, I said origin, but I
okay.
like kind of burped in the midst of it.
Got it.
And the fly from the kitchen followed us in.
Yeah.
here,
He
which
He did. I
is
heard him kind of like
god awful.
dancing around.
That'll give us something to do during the show.
Hey, is the first like
Let's get into it.
you remember that policy with YouTube where if you say the bad words in the
Yeah.
first X time, is
It's
that still
still a
thing?
policy, yeah.
Okay, because I almost said one and I had to really quickly stop about the fly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
No
We
problem.
appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. We're going to crack into this bottle. This was highly recommended to us by Pete.
Pete from Spirit Shop, who
That's
has become
right.
our unofficial sponsor of the show.
That's right. All right. So he had nothing but high remarks for this, high regard for this. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to go ahead and just give myself a little nip of that right there. Very good. For those that are curious, there we go.
Ooh.
There we go.
There
Pretty
it is.
nice. Pretty nice.
Nice pop.
All right. Now, Josh,
It's a weighty bottle.
how you
here.
feeling? Are you ready?
Yeah, of
ready
course.
to go?
Isaiah,
Always
you
ready.
killed
I'm
your,
locked and loaded.
Cinnabon over there.
Yeah, it's dead. It's demolished.
His A1C is not coming back. He's about to talk a lot during the show.
It's a hefty
It's a heavy
list
bottle.
of news.
Oh, you're talking about the
No,
list.
it's a heavy bottle as well, but we're going to move right into news.
All right.
I don't think people are as concerned about the bottle weight as we are. Sure. So what's the first item on the docket? Let's just dive right in.
The Monopoly movie.
Ooh, baby.
So is it-
Monopoly, the board game.
I've heard nothing about it.
No one has. I just read the news that it had been green lit.
Do we got like any potential?
Cast?
Yeah.
No. Director? No.
Is it gonna be like semi fictitious like Barbie?
I got to be honest, I have no idea.
That'd be we get like a Mr. Moneybags and he's trying to like
Maybe.
that'd be dope.
Are you here for now? They did Clue the movie, didn't they?
Clue it.
Wasn't there a Clue?
I believe there was, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
When you say Clue.
Josh, can you confirm? Was there a
working on it.
Clue board game?
Oh, the
Movie.
Oh, that.
Oh, there definitely was.
I heard about that like a long time ago, like in the 90s.
But was there not a more recent version?
I think the
'cause
most
it-
recent. I think we're thinking of Knives Out because it's the most recent.
It's
it's
similar.
kinda the same
it kind
thing,
of has the
yeah.
same vibe. I get that.
I don't know if that's working. Can you talk again?
It.
Knives Out.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
okay.
there- he's
all right. All right.
There he is.
Sorry.
all right. So, any recent board game adaptations that we can find? Clue. I know there's no Monopoly.
Jumanji.
Surprised there's no K.
Jumanji. There it is. Well, Jumanji was more of a movie before it was a board game.
Yeah,
right?
it was a movie about a board game, right?
Correct. And then that became a board game.
There's no Candyland
The
yet.
10 best board game movies.
There we go. What do we got? What's number one?
Battleship 20. Well, no.
Oh, that's
I
right.
think it's reverse.
With Rihanna, that was pretty.
That's right, though. That was a movie.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a board game first.
I only
Battleship.
watched that movie because of Rihanna.
Labyrinth apparently was a board game. Oh, of course it is. Labyrinth, of course it was a board. But I wouldn't say that the movie was based on the board game though.
Okay. It's fair. It's fair.
Ouija, Origins of Evil, 2016.
True. I'm going to say less of a board game, but
Sure.
yes, I get you. I understand. I understand where we're going with it.
Yeah, there's a lot on this list that I would not really call board game movies. But
Fair enough. So we're going to say that Monopoly is kind of the front runner of board game movies
You want to get down?
as it relates to, I guess, current movies anyway.
Right.
Because there was a Clue at one time, but I don't know if it was recent or not. But
1985.
Monopoly, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeesh.
as far as recent movies are concerned, I think Monopoly is kind of the front runner. I know Battleship
mad
was
at that.
there, but you're not mad at it. You're going to go.
No, I'm probably not gonna go.
You're not going to go. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see who's in there. Next piece of news. Moving on.
Next piece of news: Barbie hits 1 billion.
Ooh,
As it should.
Now, you've not seen it.
Now I'm waiting for it to hit the Plex.
You're gonna wait for it at home.
Yeah,
You're
when
gonna
I found
stream
out it wasn't a children's movie, my wife wants to see it, so we're probably gonna make time to go see it eventually if it doesn't hit Plex.
why don't you take her out a little date night? Why don't you surprise her? Do something nice.
I ain't putting her in a hot seat. No, I gotta do it. I gotta do it now before the show comes out.
You do like a little you do a little dinner on the front end.
Yeah.
Cocktails at the movie theater. Some popcorn going.
Yeah, maybe we'll.
It's a fun time, man.
We'll hit it up on Saturday.
It's a fun time. It's a good 2 hours. Hour 50, I think is what
I'm mad
what
at
it
it.
is. Yeah, it's a good time. You'll have fun.
I
You'll
like
enjoy
Ryan
it.
Gosling.
Go down to warehouse.
I love Margot Robbie. She's like top of the.
She's great.
Top of the
She's
charts.
fantastic. Yeah. So
Have you?
go ahead.
Not to interrupt. Have you seen these reports about people like obsessing over her feet because she shows her feet in the movie?
I've not seen the report, but it doesn't shock me. If that's
Yes.
People or men?
I seen like a E News or like a TMZ thing on my timeline about a report saying that people are going crazy over Margot Robbie's feet.
I mean, they are featured heavily in the movie.
That's just wild to me.
And I think people that would be into feet could perhaps
I know Quentin Tarantino's
pull a lot
wild.
from it.
What's it say?
I feel like this is a little old news because this story is from July 18th, but
Like a week ago? No,
No,
like
that's a month ago.
almost a month ago, right?
I don't have time. I don't.
Hold on a second. In a recent interview with Cinema Blend, Robbie spoke about the internet's fascination with her feet. She revealed that the first time she Googled herself, she was surprised to see that Margot Robbie's feet was one of the top search results. She then discovered herself on WikiFeet, which featured pictures of her feet
Now
and
the-
comments from fans.
Does she got hot feet?
the
I don't know.
question
I've
is-
never looked at her feet.
I don't know if it's about a hot foot thing. I'm not really sure how you decipher that. Has her feet have her feet been discussed prior to Barbie? Can we get a
Well, that's what the
info on that?
report he just right.
Yes.
No, but the screenshot you showed me
That's from Barbie.
was from
Oh,
Barbie.
that's me.
Who's ESPN's going
Sorry.
off?
What
Sorry.
I'm
I know
wondering
better.
is, was Margot Robbie's foot on the board
thing.
prior to Barbie?
You know what? I'll go to Feet Wiki and I'll
Because
find
it's
out.
predominantly featured in Barbie. There's
better-
definitely a foot thing.
You better have
component.
private
Oh,
browser
I'm
that.
on a list.
But like, does
I'm
her
already
foot
done.
appear in other movies? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, is it
This
in Wolf of Wall
This is a
Street?
weird website. You just go to this website and it just gives you pictures
Of feet.
There's not even text.
There's no like nothing.
But
Just
can you search for people?
Well, that's what I did. This is
so you
Margot
searched-
Robbie.
You search
We
Margot
are
Robbie.
treading dangerous territory.
yeah.
We are.
We're gonna get put into a category of YouTube channels.
Because now like all our phones are gonna give us like Dr. Scholl's and like
Displaying page 1, picture 1 through 100 of 1600.
But do those all seem as if they're from Barbie?
it looked like the red carpet stuff from what I saw.
Yeah, but there's also a bunch that there's no context. I can't.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't tell you.
So the loose consensus is, given that you said red carpet, is that she was on the board prior to Barbie.
It seems that way.
So it's a thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a
peruse
foot
feet,
connoisseur, but they're definitely prominently featured in Barbie. So that would make sense. That holds up.
Yeah. Her feet are like featured in the movie.
Well, there's a couple of sequences where there's a
Interesting.
backing up. Barbie's foot shape and like the construction of it and her wearing high heels and all of that has been a point of conversation for a long time. So there is a scene, several scenes within the Barbie movie that reference this topic. The her foot and wearing high heels and all that. So you get a lot of close-ups of her foot. That's all that I'm saying.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by this. This tracks. All right, next piece. Moving on.
Hold on, before we
What you
go.
got?
You want to go back into the foot thing.
Sorry,
No, carry
I
on.
just found something kind of on cinemablend.com.
Yeah.
The internet has long been obsessed with Margot Robbie's feet. She's been repeatedly removing her shoes in movies, and there's always been an
On
outsized
purpose.
reaction.
Now that
If
I
it
think
was
of, sorry,
if it
go
was
ahead.
just contained to the dark corners of the internet, then it would be always excited about uncovered feet.
So we're
I'd
saying
be less interested.
she's doing it intentionally.
Yeah. In Margot's case, however, the subsequent conversations have always been louder and more mainstream, and which is why it makes sense that the star whose feet becomes a major plot point in Barbie. Mm-hmm. So her feet have a history of being pretty big.
Got you. Okay.
She had like a foot scene in like
she's
Wall
leaning-
Street.
she's
Now that I
leaning
think
into
about
it.
it. Yep.
See, that's what I was
she's-
asking about.
Now that I think
She had
about
a
it,
foot scene.
it wasn't like a foot scene, but her leg was
Yeah.
like a prominent
That's
part
true.
of the scene.
So-
Remember
Yeah,
when-
this one right here.
So
yeah,
maybe
that scene right there. Yeah.
there it
That-
is. Fair enough.
Yep. I
All
know
right.
it wasn't crazy.
That's kind of what I was tapping into. So it seems like she's leaning into it perhaps at this point. It's like the Shia LaBeouf no thing. Remember?
Yeah.
He's got that. He has it in every single movie he does. Look it up. Look it up, guys.
Will do.
Great.
I don't know. There's no website dedicated to it.
Actor ticks.
Thanks, Josh.
It looks like there's an opportunity here.
Remember, Josh, you maybe
Hey,
can
Josh,
work
get
on
that
it in your
domain.
spare
That's
time.
right.
Get that domain. Actor ticks.
Yeah.
We'll start with Shia LaBeouf,
Start with shy
and then we'll move on to feet.
feet.
All right, move on.
Hell of a
Next,
transition.
next thing, guys.
Wonder Woman.
Oh, Wonder Woman 3,
Gal
Part
Gadot.
3. Is it Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot?
Godot.
Gadot?
Definitely Godot. Like waiting for it.
Very good. So
It's Gal Gadot.
It's Godot.
that's
It's
what I was going
Gadot.
to say.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
100%
I always thought it was
You
Gadot.
leaned into like a dot.
There's
Gadot.
no. There's,
Gadot.
yeah.
Gadot.
That might be the most.
Yeah.
That might be the most
Get it.
American thing I've ever heard
Go
you
see
say.
that Gal Gadot
The girl got it.
There's no G in the word.
in her feet.
You put it well, no matter where.
This guy. So they're rebooting Wonder Woman
Yes, they are.
with Wonder Woman 3.
A new movie.
And
A new movie
Prequel,
and the third
sequel.
movie.
new director,
prequel sequel.
The
movie.
third.
new
Yeah, the
everything.
third. All the whole thing.
It's all starting over. It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
But
But
I don't
she
think you
made
can
the
do
cut.
it.
She made the cut.
I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can. I just don't think that's. You got to refresh it, man.
If it's gonna be a reboot, just reboot it.
Just reboot.
Don't make it the third part of a trilogy.
Who's directing? They say who's
Well,
directing.
so
Josh?
I don't.
Wait-
They have
wait a
not
minute.
announced the director yet, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's like. I don't know if it's going to be a complete reboot. I just think she is going to slip into the universe that.
And it's going to
Dawn
start
is
over.
created.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's just going to be like reintroduced to the universe that Gunn is creating.
Okay.
I don't know. I could be wrong. Obviously, it's not been written or anything at this point, but they said it was like a soft reboot with her. I would guess that she'll be reintroduced to like a new Batman or a new Superman or whatever. Because we've seen her.
Fish out of water, lost in time, kind of. But I'm going to run with this universe I'm in.
So would this be
Yeah,
like
but she's
a,
not going to be acknowledging the other one.
So would this be like a new 52 as a result of Flashpoint
Kind of, I guess.
thing? Okay.
Which would be so that's kind of a very, very interesting point because DC always has these in the comic book lore. They have these resetting story arcs where they reset the universe like every 4 or 5 years, just like what they kind of do with their movie. They kind of reset. And with the Flash being what it was, and apparently it's going to be canon all throughout their Universal catalog. Like now, they're going to stand on everything being connected.
I got you. I'm with you.
Much like how No Way Home is now the bridge to the Sony universe for Marvel. It's possible. It's very, very possible that you can reset her universe off of with a linchpin of what happens in Flash and just run, just go. I'm here, the universe has started over, I don't know where I am, but there's a threat, let's do it,
Yeah.
and whatever. So,
Sure.
whatever.
Sure.
I don't see, there's ways to make it work, man, like whatever. But
I think they just like her,
they do.
and I think she has been accepted as Wonder Woman
She has.
pretty universally.
Yeah.
Now, some would say the same about Henry Cavill.
That's too bad. Yeah.
Cavill?
Cavill.
Cavill?
Yeah, we'll get
Is
it
today
right.
the day of name mispronunciation?
But he got the axe. I think people kind of universally liked him.
I thought he was a perfect Superman.
But did he get the axe or did he quit?
He got the axe.
I think he got the axe.
Got the axe. Cut his ass.
He bailed on a lot of things. I mean, he bailed on Witcher.
Yeah, he
seemingly
quit
bailed
to
on-
come back, and then they didn't bring him back.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to quit
unfortunate.
my job to come back to my old job, and then I'm out. I'm here and I'm performing, and then you say, you know what, this isn't working out.
Like, he's got nothing going on right now.
Now he's unemployed.
He's got to
already.
be bummed.
That's true.
He had the
man.
Witcher series and
Quit that.
Superman.
The
Now
Witcher.
he's got neither.
Which takes us in right to our next point.
He'll end up in Fast and the Furious soon.
All right. Moving on from that.
Speaking
Josh,
of people,
The strikes.
yeah, speaking of people having no jobs.
Yep.
Yeah, strikes are back.
Oh, the strikes.
Nobody's working anyway.
now this is old news to an extent, but we've not yet discussed it on the show. The strikes, the writer strike, the actor strike, and now apparently the visual effects
Are unionizing
world
to strike?
is
Yeah.
unionizing because Marvel has, I guess, treated them so poorly.
Good for them.
I'm not in a union, so I can't really speak to it. But, it seems like we're going to have a little bit of a dry spell
yeah.
of content for a while. Stranger Things is on hold. That's
I think
Pause.
everything that we anticipated is at a standstill.
except for
Tubi movies.
House of the Dragon. House of the
they're gonna
Dragon
keep-
is still in production. So House of the Dragon, all of the scripts for House of the Dragon were locked in before the writer's strike.
You both did exactly the same thing.
Dude, this
Except for
flies into be
these.
the end of me.
I gotta pull out Obama and just grab
And
him.
apparently the actors and actresses that are featured in the show are not in the unions, I guess, the United States.
Oh, because they're in the European
They're
Union,
in the European
which is not
Union,
striking.
Which is not striking.
Yeah.
So that show is moving forward, but most things have pretty much shut down.
And also a unique point to that, what I found out was that if you have something that's already under contract, so House of
Oh,
the
yeah,
Dragon
if your
season
contract
3,
is already
if your
ongoing,
contract is
you can
already
continue
gone
it.
through, then you can continue the work. It's
Yeah.
not anything that have to you don't have to stop that work.
But how would that be? How would that be true? Because I would feel like people on Stranger Things, for example, like they're all contracted into that.
No, I think he's referencing stuff that started filming and working.
You mean things that are currently in production?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like House of the Dragon, the script's already written. So
Yes.
the production has started. So,
So,
the
but anything that would require additional writing, though, which is most shows.
Yeah, they say they kind
Yeah,
of
they
write.
got it.
They
Most
write up
shows
into the
kind
point
of
they're
are
shooting.
writing while they're shooting. Like I know Stranger Things writes as they film. So
yeah, it's a dead mission for that.
that's tied up. That's tied up.
I would say so. Yeah.
And then they're also talking about pushing off or postponing a lot of releases because none of the actors or actresses can do any kind of press for them.
That-
So they're saying
too.
that like Dune and a lot of other things, Dune Part 2, a lot of other movies are going to get the oust out of the fall time slots.
Yeah,
so
so-
it could be a pretty sad
bleak.
fall.
Which also is why the reality shows are starting later.
Oh yeah.
So CBS usually starts Big Brother in the
Summer, right?
beginning of July.
Yeah.
And it just started, I think, last week, maybe Wednesday last week, because they're anticipating the strike continuing. Normally it would end the end of September.
And then
It'll continue
all
through
the new
October
shows and
now.
everything drop in the fall because
Right.
everybody's home and it's cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
Oh my God.
That stinks, man.
Yeah.
Pay the people, man. Like, I don't know. I feel some type of way when a person that makes $200 million a year tells someone who may work 8 weeks out of the year making $40,000 to man up and go to work. Like, that's just.
But you're saying somebody that worked 8 weeks out of a year made $40,000.
I don't think that was a good example.
I don't think
That's
that was a-
terrible example.
Yeah, that was not a good
Yeah,
example.
no. You know what I'm saying? Like the.
Yeah.
Because if I worked 8 weeks out of the year, and made $40,000.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. That's a. I'm speaking. You know what I mean? Like they're not.
I get what you're saying.
The money's not equating to the time and then the streaming, and it's not profitable.
Yes.
For the worker. That's what I'm trying to say. So when someone like Bob Iger is like, we'll keep striking till their houses are foreclosed. It's just kind of like, come on, dude. Like,
Yes.
you can come up off a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm sure you can make $50 million a year and you'll be fine. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the current climate of how things are produced and how like with streaming and how like points and everything work on the back end, people aren't entitled to as much as they used to be. Like back in the day, you used to have a lot more ownership over what it was that was being created, and I think a lot of the streamers have kind of shaken that up a little bit. I don't really know how all of that gets sorted out necessarily. Like, I don't know what the future is there. My sense is that this is probably not going to go very well for anybody that's in the Writers Guild or in the, the actors for that matter. Like, I think this is probably going to backfire on them a little bit. And I also think that a lot of this was not timed necessarily, but I think that the studios are okay with it, because I do think that there is a certain amount of kind of level setting that has to take place. After COVID, there was too much money and too much poured into creating streaming content. And now I think there's a retraction that's taking place. And the reality is there's probably too many writers out there, too many actors, too many actresses. Like, there's probably too much. And we probably have I think that industry probably has to retract to a certain extent. And I don't know. It's a tricky situation.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. Like, I get it. I think if you're like an important character or an important writer, or if you bring a lot of value to something directly, I think you should be compensated for that long term. But
just give me points.
What is the value of like background actors or people that appear in an episode of a TV show, like one episode or two episodes? I don't really know. Like,
I think
that's tough. Like, I don't know how that works.
You gotta, just like when the streaming boom hit for music, they kind of re-quantified like what a stream is and how that equates to an album sale, and how that equates to like credits and points for an album, and then how you get paid by the record labels and XYZ. This is kind of like long overdue. Like, streaming's been a thing for almost 15 years now. So the business of it is very archaic. They're still working in old times when it comes to TV, and they trying to use that same business model in a business now that it doesn't work for. So you have to kind of like, I agree with the strike. I think that the strike is legitimate, but I also don't know how it's going to be resolved, because you work less for something that's a hit that lasts 6 weeks, where network TV was shooting 24, 25, 30 episodes and going the entire season of like an actual like autumn or winter season. And now those two things are competing for the same type of pay, right? Like, if that's what they're going to work on, they need to get paid more. And then if you're going to work on an 8-week show and it's going to be syndicated and continuously streaming, and then you need to work out the point system there, and it just needs to be re-quantified, like how these people get paid. And
I think that's the point.
Yeah,
that the quantification, it's mysterious. It's not only that it's not fair, it's also mysterious, and the only people that know are
these boards and CEOs. And I also I have a theory that they don't want to really discuss the numbers because they aren't as astronomical as they think, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The numbers are not as good as people think they are.
Right. Like,
well, here's another thing though. Last quarter, Warner Brothers, I just had the number in front of me. It was $12 billion in net profit.
Sure.
That Warner Brothers made. If you divide that out by, I don't know how many people, you're giving everybody $150,000 raise. If you had 100,000 employees, you're giving everybody a huge raise. Like, there's enough money to go around.
Absolutely.
That might be, I feel like that might be an oversimplification of it. I'm not.
That's the thing, like where we work for Apple, and then we were doing the raises, and they were
well,
like,
this is what
what I mean?
So I wasn't gonna go.
We can talk about it now. We don't work there anymore.
This was This is like a sidetrack, just for a quick second.
Sidetrack away, baby.
Let's go.
But at the last earnings report that Apple made,
yeah,
they announced that they had made $19.8 billion in profit just in that quarter.
They couldn't buy those guys
Okay.
Chipotle
Now,
for lunch.
right. Now, Apple, this statistic is from 2 years ago. They had 25,000 retail employees.
Yes.
29,000?
25.
25,000.
25,000. So if you took just the last 3 months, okay, you could give every one of those employees a $40,000 raise for 20 years.
Sure.
Okay, just from that quarter.
Correct.
Just from the quarter earnings.
The big caveat there, though, and again, you can debate the ethics of this, I suppose, but the big caveat there being that Apple really doesn't, they're not in the game to improve the life of the employee.
No company is.
They're in the game to improve the life of the shareholder.
That
And
exactly.
if you start
Yes,
rolling
that
out
is exactly
raises
right.
like that, right? So to circle, I mean, this is all super valid, but I think you have to remember, and again, this is like what makes you feel good at the end of the day, but Apple is here not for the employee. Apple is here for the shareholder. They're never going to pay employees anything near that because that will upset the shareholder.
Which is why they make them shareholders.
And then if you circle back, yes,
that's how they get around it. They give them shares, and then they're shareholders.
Well, they don't.
but that's
Well,
not. But that's
they give
not.
you shares
But
as
that's
long
not
as you
true.
work there.
That's true to the extent that like you have a piece of the pie, but there are people out there that have a piece of the pie that's so astronomically
that's so much bigger than
large.
yours.
Who can
Yeah.
live off of it? They can literally make a living
Correct.
wage off
They
of
own
their shares.
enough of it that like they're making money off of having just having it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little different. But kind of circling back to the studios, like they're not going to take pay cuts.
Nah.
Those guys aren't going to take pay cuts. They're going to make less things. Like they'll agree to whatever, but instead of making 20 shows, they'll make 5 shows.
Instead of one
and they're
Marvel
gonna
movie,
buy
they'll get
like
one.
by the necessity of that, they're gonna lay off 75% of the people that would have had jobs had they been like, all right, well, we'll make the 20 shows. Right. So they're gonna say, okay, well, if we have to pay all of you guys this much money, or we're gonna have to pay all of you this much more, we're just gonna cancel Marvel TV.
Yeah.
And we'll just fire everybody, or we'll just not pay anybody because now, like, they're not going to take cuts, right? And they don't want the shareholders, like, the shareholders want their piece of it, and that's who they're focused on. So they're just going to cut everybody out. Like, there's no requirement for Disney to continue to produce the amount of things that they're producing, right?
Yeah.
So they can just come in and say, fine, like, we'll agree to whatever it is you want.
We'll just make one show
We'll
a
pay
year.
you whatever you want, but we're just going to cut way back on what we're making.
Yeah,
And then
we'll
what
pay
that
you
does. Sorry, go
and
ahead.
not your coworker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they've already said they're going to do that, right? They've already come out and said we're going to scale way back on Marvel TV. We're going to scale way back on original content because it's just not generating the amount of money that we need it to generate, especially if we're going to have to pay
Like
everybody.
nobody's
so much more.
getting a subscription to Disney Plus for She-Hulk. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna drive people to the app.
Yeah.
That's just not gonna do it. So we're gonna pay all of these people an astronomical wage to make a show that's not driving traffic.
Yeah.
Like I'll put a couple dollars down as a bet that the turnover for what was made on She-Hulk as far as viewership outweighed what people subscribed to watch. You know what I'm saying? So
For sure.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think definitely for quality, scaling back is a great idea. As far as where the strike is concerned, I'll say for quality as a fan, for someone who's watching this stuff, I think scaling back is a great idea. But as far as for the the writers and what have you, it's unfortunate. But ultimately, I think one, it makes it more competitive, right? As far as like a field for writing, where when they scale back, these projects will have to have better quality. It will make a more competitive field for these writers. But at the same time, that does create less jobs, which sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody lose their job.
I think it's going to create an industry where if you're notable, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And you'll continue to work.
Yeah.
But if you're not notable, you're out. Because they're going to go back to basically just bare bones. Like they're just going to cut way back. So,
And there's going to be like 10 writers
yes.
at Marvel. That's it. Just these 10,
and
they write everything.
They'll take the best ones.
Yeah.
So again, if you're in the upper echelon of that, you'll be fine regardless. But those aren't the people, let's be honest. Those aren't the ones that
Those are the people who are striking.
They're not the ones that are striking.
Yeah.
And the same with the actors, right? Like Tom Cruise can say whatever he wants, but the truth is Tom Cruise is the top 2%, right?
Yeah.
He's fine. He's going to work regardless.
He doesn't have to work
He's going to work no matter what.
20 years if
he'll
he
be
doesn't want
fine.
to,
They'll pay him whatever they want to pay him. So they could cut back to making Mission Impossible only those movies and they would be fine because Tom Cruise will still have a job.
Yeah.
Right.
It sucks.
I was reading about this earlier and somebody was contrasting or they were kind of predicting that the studios and the streamers and content creators are basically all going to follow suit of like the technology companies. So you're basically going to wind up with like the big four eventually.
Yeah,
so you'll have Netflix, you'll have Amazon, you'll have Apple, and you'll have one other company, which is going to be basically like, it'll be like Peacock and Paramount and all these other guys will combine into something else.
They're going to absorb. Some of these guys are going to get absorbed in this.
Yeah. There's like a theory out there, I guess, or they're predicting more or less that there are basically, like it's going to boil down to 4 streamers. Like that's what,
which is kind of what
ultimately
Hulu was kind of trying to do originally, I think.
Yes.
You know, they had stakes. A bunch of people had stakes in Hulu and they were putting their content out there.
Like all those things, like Disney's going to sell off Hulu. It'll get absorbed and sucked up by somebody else. And like all these, it's basically just going to all consolidate
That sucks.
way
I
down.
pay for the bundle. That sucks.
So anyway, moving on.
So the next one is the fall schedule in question. I think we
did that. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
there. Yeah, Loki season 2.
Ooh, you saw the trailer for that?
Ooh, I did.
Speaking of Marvel cutting back on original content.
Ultimately, I think Loki is the standout show as far as Marvel's concerned on Disney Plus. I think it really kind of pushes the narrative forward as far as the storytelling in Phase 5, and it really stays on the pulse of what's happening in the MCU.
Yeah.
With that said, there's a bunch of fun Easter eggs in the trailer.
Yep.
Owen Wilson is always great. It connects to Quantum Mania. We see one of the Kangs as one of the baddies in the show. And then there's an interesting piece, and I don't know if you guys picked up on it after you saw the trailer. When Loki does like the time splitting kind of thing, that's the same thing from Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. When they're out of their own time stream for too long, they do this kind of like
interesting
jagged thing. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like a carryover. And I spoke about the Sony being bridged with the No Way Home. So I'm wondering if now is Marvel's taking a leap with using that kind of trope in their live action to bridge, to kind of keep a continuous bridge. Because like even when I saw Across the Spider-Verse, there's still a multiverse timeline narrative being pushed there. And, now here with like the TVA and Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston as Loki, it looks good. It just looks like it looks like True Detective for sci-fi nerds.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very.
It's a show. It's an example of a show that has good writers and good creators behind it.
So pay those guys.
It's a good idea. So like that's the type of show that would, in my opinion, deserves to probably get made. There are other Marvel original series that probably didn't deserve to get made. That's the type of thing that you'll probably lose out moving forward, but that's probably good. And I think the potential benefit there, if you want to look at the upside, is if Loki is a good creator, good writers, good actors, etc., I would like to see it be more consistent.
Yes.
Like put more money and more effort into producing that on a consistent basis. It sucks when there's like 2-3 years between a series or between a show or whatever. I've said this about House of the Dragon. It's really disappointing when there's all of this time in between and then you kind of fall out of love with the show
and the characters. You don't remember what's going on. Yeah. And it would be nice if there's just an accompanying show that kind of gives us the stories, like the stories that are happening outside of the movie.
For sure.
Right? Like And we thought that's what the Disney Plus shows were going to be.
Yes.
Right? When we saw Loki the first season, we were like, this is great. It pushes the narrative. It continuously talks about what's happening outside of the theatrical timeline. And then the shows just stopped doing that. Like they kind of, speak to one or two Easter eggs here. But, again, I speak about She-Hulk, which did nothing to push it forward but give us Daredevil.
Correct, yeah.
Right? Which was fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big comic book advocate, and I feel
it's just not a good show.
It's just not doing it.
It's not a good
doing
show.
it. What other show? Hawkeye was fun. Didn't do it. It didn't do the thing that Loki's doing.
I care less about, to contradict you a little bit, I care less about them tying everything into the overarching concepts.
And then just being good.
I just want it to be good.
Yeah,
I just want it to
most of
be
them
a
weren't
good show.
Like She-Hulk was funny.
If you told
cute.
me that Loki was never going to really tie back into anything that we saw in phase 5, 6, or 7 or whatever, I'd be okay with it because it's a good show. It's fun to watch. I don't have to have everything be like this, interconnected thing.
But they trained us to do that.
They did. And I'm not saying that we're all looking for it. I understand that, but I just think it matters. I think the thing that matters the most is that it's just a good show.
It is a very great show. Very, very good show.
If it's a good show, I think that will stand up. It's kind of like what's the Star Wars thing? What's the Star Wars thing?
Show. Which one? A show?
Andor.
I know. Yeah.
Andor.
It's Marvel's
right?
Andor. Yeah.
So Andor is, in my opinion, I know there's ties to Rogue One. I get that. But it really is outside of Star Wars in a sense.
Yeah, it's you're watching a show that is incorporated into the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
Rather than watching a show about Star Wars.
It's so good though.
Yeah.
And I have no expectations that in whatever the new Star Wars movie is, that it ties back into Andor. I don't care about that because Andor is so good on its own.
It can do its own thing.
It can do its own thing. So I'm fine with Marvel shows doing that. Totally okay with it.
I think even Mandalorian does that. It does its own thing. It doesn't, and it pulls from the larger universe and tells its own story, which is great. But, if it kind of continued to kind of just be a background show and kind of pull when it needs to remind us that it's relevant and canon, that's fine. And I feel like that's what Loki's doing. Even these other shows on Disney Plus, like WandaVision was, I really, really, really enjoyed WandaVision. But ultimately, I don't know if that's ever going to come back. I don't know.
But it's fine if it doesn't.
And it's
in
fine
my
if it
opinion,
doesn't.
because it was
I feel
a
like
good show.
It did its job.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was fun. I'm sure at some point they'll try to tie it back into something because it's what Marvel has to do. But I'd be okay if they started making some shows that were just high quality but didn't necessarily have to be a part of a phase or whatever. But in either case, all right, we're wrapping up on that. Let's talk briefly about
Bardstown.
This whiskey. We've been neglecting
Bardstown
to discuss it. We're halfway through the episode. We've not mentioned
I
it.
actually enjoy it, man.
It's pretty good.
Good choice.
High marks. I didn't pick it. Peter did. Pete did.
He picked it for us.
Well, he had spoken very highly of it. Isaiah had kind of been looking at this bottle a little bit, and Pete had really.
So this is a fifth,
Kinda stood by it.
750 milliliters, 96 proof, 48% alcohol volume.
And I've never had it before. I've seen it around.
Was it like the $45 mark? You got this one.
$45 exactly, actually.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, not
Kudos.
bad.
I tilt my
I
hat to
enjoy
you.
it. I don't think it's an easy drink. It's not overly assertive. It's a good proof, I feel like.
Yeah. It's a man drink.
It's high enough that you're gonna get the whiskey feel.
Yeah. It's got the whiskey feel.
You're gonna get a
and the
little
taste.
bit of a some little spice.
It's got the good color, nice bottle.
but it's not 115. It's not 117. It's not gonna make your eyes water.
Where'd you
It's nice.
where would you place this as far as what is comparable to? Because last week we made New River comparable to Bullet.
I would put this above Bullet for
Yes,
sure.
I absolutely would.
For sure.
This I would put
I
above
actually
Bullet.
think this is a really good deal at $45.
What do you think it should be priced
I
at?
agree. You could pay 60 for that.
Good man.
I think you could pay 60 for that.
All right.
I think 45 is a super solid price point for it. There are, I don't know. There are some like unique releases here and there. The Bullet 12-year. Like there are some weird things,
Which is my all-time favorite.
that are probably in and around that price point that are kind of similar.
Doobie.
Maybe like a Four Roses somewhere in there. Like there's some nicer Four Roses that are probably, again, not like the entry level, but some nicer Four Roses that are kind of comparable from a price point and taste and flavor, kind of all that kind of thing, like in the same kind of echelon, if you will.
Yeah.
But I think for $45, that's probably one of the better deals out there.
That's a good
I'd have
bottle
to
for
agree
45.
with,
Definitely
which is exactly what, to be fair, what Pete said. So in his defense, he's pretty spot on with that.
Yeah.
So pretty satisfied with it.
Pete with the awesome hair.
Josh, how you feeling about it? You tasted it yet?
Yeah, I
you
have.
just too deep in that slightly mighty over there? Or
I'm having a great time. Oh, actually, I forgot about the slightly
I
mighty.
bet you do. That's behind
What are
the
you
screen.
doing over there?
That
I
big
forgot
old
about it. I'm sorry.
jug of water you got. All right.
That's true. It's good.
Everybody's-
It's good.
We're all enjoying it. I love it. Maybe we can circle back
Excuse
on it
me.
later
Thumbs
once
up.
we've gotten a little further into it. Next item on the list.
Lizzo.
Lizzo. All right. So I'm going to be honest. I don't know every aspect of the Lizzo story. I've just seen things on social media and I have just heard things.
My wife has
And-
kind of hit me to like what's going on.
Okay. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. My
Is
understanding
your wife hipped you?
No, she's kind of asked, like, did you hear what's happening with the whole Lizzo thing? I feel like I'm probably a little bit more tapped into the Lizzo situation than she is. I'm on Reddit a little bit more often and like I read some stuff. She's more of like a TikToker, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
She's on
yeah.
that TikTok news network, that TTN, right? TTNN. So I'm not really
Josh,
sure.
Can you get that domain?
I have heard there's some sexual harassment stuff.
Oh,
where
yeah.
some things went down potentially at a nightclub where she insisted some of her dancers or staff
Like touch
do
each
some
other
things
inappropriately.
I wasn't clear whether it was to each other, to her, to another dancer. Not really sure. So I heard that. And then I think there was also some, I don't know if it was remarks or some aggression towards some of her staff regarding maybe their weight or maybe their appearance, perhaps. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to hop in.
Lizzo was like a mean girl boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
She's being mean and saying some vulgar things.
And then
to
was she
her.
making some of them do some errands for her, like like cross town kind of trips?
Do some intern stuff and like just stuff that was kind of below their kind of pay grade of what they expected if they're just kind of like dancers, like go get me coffee.
It felt like an Ellen moment.
Yeah, Devil Meets Prada kind of type
Yeah.
Lizzo,
situation.
Lizzo,
There
who's
we
known
go.
for promoting body positivity
go.
and celebrating her physique, allegedly pressured a dancer to touch a nude performer at a strip club.
Wow.
Called attention to the dancer's weight and fired her in front of other performers after she recorded a meeting in an effort to help manage a health condition, according to the lawsuit.
Okay. That is consistent with what I've
yeah,
read.
Same.
And there's also, this is not the best thing for Lizzo, but apparently there's a song
Oh my god.
in a music video where she's very explicit about some of these details, where she's talking about how she had some of her staff go against her and they're filing lawsuits and she made them all sign NDAs and how she doesn't care, et cetera, et cetera. Josh, you're making a face. Carry on.
The lawsuit. I just looked at you, just looking for someone, and nobody was looking at me. The lawsuit accuses Lizzo of calling out the dancer's weight after an appearance at the South by Southwest Music Festival. In a meeting with all the dancers this year, Lizzo allegedly said it was, quote, normal for them to get fired when they get fat.
Oh my. So
I thought Lizzo, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I'm stepping into dangerous territory.
go
here.
for
You
it.
are, but go ahead.
You would
But
absolutely.
didn't Lizzo have, at least in some of her tours, didn't she have like dancers that were of a larger size?
the voluptuous nature?
Intentionally?
Yeah.
Wasn't she?
It goes beyond that. She had a whole show of bigger women
Yeah.
larger
competing
women. Yes.
to be on her dance team.
Okay.
She did have a show. She had a Netflix show, right?
Amazon. It was an Amazon. Show.
Amazon. Yeah.
So there's a threshold for like the perfect amount of big
wow.
versus like too big. Is I guess
that
what
seems to be the case.
Okay,
Yes.
very good.
I just don't. I think it's
Are you a Lizzo fan?
nah. I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not a fan. That music's not for me. That's what I'll say. Her music is not for me. I don't.
But you're not going to a Lizzo show.
Nah. No.
How about your wife?
No.
Does she like Lizzo? Does anybody in here listen to Lizzo?
I don't think anybody listens. I
Negative.
think it's just kind of like a pop thing that kind of happened, and I don't.
She is my favorite pop flautist. But
With the flute,
yes.
Flautist.
flute.
All right. So
I
you're
just-
not losing sleep over this.
Nah, I just think it's kind of like hypocritical. I don't listen.
I think that's what
don't-
everyone
Can I
thinks.
try to shoot her some bail?
Can you what?
Can I try to shoot her some bail?
Shoot her some bail?
Yeah.
Lizzo?
Just try.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So
Speak. Get
I'm
to the
gonna-
mic. The mic's
So you're
low.
going to defend her?
yeah, I'm gonna try.
All right, fire ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
fire away. Fire away.
Get closer to your mic.
all right.
It's all right. He's close enough.
I couldn't
we'll,
hear him.
We'll turn it up a
We'll
little
move it
bit
up
in the
in
mix.
post.
That mic's a little bit more
never
complicated
happens.
than the rest, so it's a little bit down, but we'll boost it.
In her efforts to keep her dancers,
Yeah.
her backup dancers around the same size, whether that be because they've gotten too big or too small.
Sure.
I want to say that it's less about their fluctuation in weight and more about their ability to perform. Because I do feel like if someone has become bigger than what they
Yeah.
should be,
That's fair.
that does affect their ability to perform.
So do you think her dancers are held to a higher standard of performance than she is?
100%.
Oh yeah. Because
100%.
So her dancers are doing more work than she's doing on
Absolutely.
stage.
100%.
Absolutely.
Will
So-
she ever admit it? No.
Okay.
But is that the truth? 100%.
So, okay. All right. Fair enough. Very good. So we're thinking that she's
you see it all the time.
at a different level of physical whatever capability on stage. She's holding herself to a different standard than her
Yes.
dancers because
Yeah.
she expects them to do more on stage.
Yeah, it's the the performer with they're the attraction, the performer. Now everyone else is the show, so they got to be tip top, ready to rock and roll. 'Cause they
So
are the show.
So you're saying that maybe she's sitting back thinking like, listen, girls, y'all got too big, can't do the moves. Well, that's what he said.
That's what yes,
Y'all got too big, can't do the moves.
yes. I just think
I don't need to do the moves because I'm the talent.
I'm the talent.
Y'all
ain't
need
no-
to do the moves, not
Ain't
me.
nobody coming to see you, Otis. That's the thing.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then you get the whole and then you get the whole thing with her who's it, the dance coordinator or whoever, the one who was pushing was pushing their religious values down her throat.
Oh wow.
That was
Yeah.
that was the other part of this. I was like, whoa. Which didn't make sense to me because you work for Lizzo and Lizzo was like hypersexual and like you're like supposed to hold modest Christian values. I don't get it. But
I don't
to each
understand
their own.
either, yeah. My favorite thing that came out of this, and we can like let it go, was the memes, of course, and the Twitter threads about it. They said, "I can't wait till the documentary of surviving our belly."
We're getting canceled. We're never going to be able to make another show again.
Solid. All right. So
Cut this out the show.
just so that we can put a pin in this, are you Team Lizzo or are you?
I don't think so. I don't.
All right.
I don't think I'm Team Lizzo, and I'm not Team Dancers because I don't.
You're indifferent.
I'm indifferent. I don't.
very good.
One, I don't really care. Two,
That's fair.
I think if it's true, that's very mean girl of her and very.
But you support canceling her if that is true. If she
Yeah,
is
if you're
mean
being a
girl,
mean
if you're a
girl.
mean girl, you get
Right. Now, there were also, and this is interesting because this is wild. I didn't know I had Sirius satellite radio in my car.
I don't think anyone knows that they have
I
it.
didn't know I had it. I
I also don't know anyone who actually does have it.
I didn't know I had it. I thought it was just like a button in my car.
Anymore.
It's a
I had to-
generational thing.
and I had to subscribe to it. And whatever.
Yep.
Bluetooth wasn't working. It just wasn't like, I don't know. It might have
Kill
been my
me
phone.
before I get to his age, please.
Right. It just wasn't working. So like I accidentally hit the XM button and I had a whole like station just talking.
Wow.
And they were talking about Lizzo. They were talking about this.
Yeah.
And it was one of the Sirius XM stations and they were talking about like, oh yeah, like they're talking about this, but it's so interesting. And I was just listening to it for like 15 minutes until I like figured out my Bluetooth because I was like late for work or whatever. And they were saying that all of this is very, very interesting because there are videos of the dancers coming out after the tour saying how this was such a great experience and this was awesome and thank you, Lizzo.
Yeah.
But then they're saying like during the tour, because their accusations are during the tour.
Sure.
And these videos are after the tour. Like they're doing
Yes.
like selfie videos with the crew. Like it was such an amazing
Yeah.
experience. So like, which one is it? Do we got like one person kind of like saying, oh yeah, I was mistreated. And then the rest of the dancers are like, all right, yeah. Or is it, the other way?
I don't know. I would argue though that there's plenty of situations where in the moment you're like, this is shit. And then afterwards you're like, all right, I had a good time, or vice versa.
Or you got your check. And you're like, oh, you know
right.
what? It was
or,
worth
or
it.
the opposite,
Yeah.
you know, right?
Of course.
All right.
You have a few drinks on your lunch and everything changes. You
go
know
back
what I
to
mean?
That's right. You got a Long Island iced tea.
I think I can't shoot Lizzo any bail. According to Hip Hop DX, there was a time when, in the midst of this whole thing, while Lizzo's trying to get her dancers to touch nude women's breasts.
Wow.
There's also a time of Lizzo saying, "I want to be at a show where I can eat a banana out of a woman's yuha."
Wow, Lizzo.
And she's like pressing that idea onto the dancers as well.
Lizzo, that
Yes.
is inappropriate.
The suit also accuses Lizzo's dance captain, Charlene Quigley, of proselytizing, which I didn't know that word. Attempting to get someone to convert
Yes.
religion.
Yeah.
To other performers and deriding those who had premarital sex while sharing lewd sexual fantasies, simulating oral sex, and publicly discussing Davis's virginity. One of the
This is
plaintiffs
just a
in the
toxic
case.
work environment.
Yeah,
And
this
the
is a
whole
crazy
thing
place
needs to be shut down.
because I don't understand how you are Lizzo's assistant and you supposed to live such a pious and modest life.
Yeah.
But your
And
boss.
From what I know about Lizzo is what they consider a industry startup. She was discovered by like these two very prominent producers, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna push her." So they brought her in. We're gonna package her, and we're gonna push her out. So it's just very interesting that she becomes what they intended, and now like all of this comes behind it. It's just so crazy.
All right. Before we move on, let me help Lizzo out a little bit. I'm not defending Lizzo. I'm just saying.
Gonna give her some.
I think
Never mind.
a lot of people in Lizzo's position, under scrutiny, under the magnifying glass, behind the NDAs, probably have similar stories, similar issues. Like, I don't know. I'm sure Drake isn't squeaky clean. If you were to strip that,
I'm sure Drake isn't.
I'm sure you take Justin Bieber and you strip away the NDAs. I'm sure there's girls out there that got all kinds of nasty things to say.
Oh, baby, baby, baby.
That's right. Like, I'm just saying, realistically, I know I'm not defending Lizzo in this sense. There's probably a lot of shit out there behind them NDAs.
You and I both have kind of like
NDAs. Yeah, that's right.
We don't talk about that.
no. I was gonna say like we've both kind of been, I will say, around industry people to know that sometimes industry people aren't as what they present themselves to be. Like we both shared rooms with very high people in the industry, and sometimes you can look at it like, oh yeah, like I can see how a person could take that interaction the wrong way.
Sure.
So I'm not giving Lizzo any rope, and I'm not giving the dancers any rope because I'm just kind of neutral in this. I'm not, but to your point, like, yeah, it can, you know.
I'm sure Lizzo ain't the only one, is all that I'm saying.
Right. There we go. There we
All
go.
right.
Lizzo ain't the only one.
Next item on the list, baby.
Next item, Cardi B, the microphone.
Oh, hell yeah. So,
She was wrong.
dude, she whipped that mic
That's like the third time in
at
like a
that
week.
girl. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. There's two parts to this. I don't know if anybody saw the full video.
I saw like multiple angles.
So there's multiple angles, but there is a full video of that song where Cardi B asks people in the crowd to throw water on her.
Yes.
She does request that.
Yes.
And then the girl does it,
Yes.
But too late.
but she does it. And then the girl,
In a
it's
disrespectful way,
There's so
maybe.
many
I don't know.
angles, right? And
Yes.
then the girl's like, I'm sorry. And then Cardi just like flings the mic at her. But I don't know.
Didn't
man.
go well.
don't
So
know.
the
She
mic.
also flings the mic not really effectively. Like if I'm going to
Oh, she
use
hit
a
her dead
microphone.
on. She could play for the Orioles
but
right
just
now.
What, I mean, I'm looking at the video right now, and it's really like a.
You know what we should do?
Thing.
We should set up a target, and we should get a mic.
And
Great.
see how hard we can fling.
And we should see how accurate we can be with it, because I don't know if we're appreciating.
Oh, I think I could just square like.
There's like a real
Right on.
weight discrepancy in a microphone, right? Like it's kind of like throwing an axe. Like there's
Sure.
a certain
You
method
gotta
to
get
it.
the overthrow.
Sure.
In either case, I'm not
There's an
sure she
arc.
was well practiced, but she throws the mic. Moving on to the second part of the story. That mic gets recovered obviously by the AV team or staff there at the concert.
Yeah.
And somebody decides that they're going to put the mic on eBay and sell.
How much is it going for?
It sold for $100,000.
What?
Now, in fairness, it was to charity. So
Oh, man.
it maybe
I'm not selling it to
winds
charity.
up being kind of a good thing. I don't really know. But when they put the mic up,
Charity is
apparently they thought it was only going to get like a couple $1,000s. It became this really big thing. And then all these other companies hopped on board to pitch in
want
additional
that evidence
items.
back.
So they're like creating like exclusive like case for it. And like there's a bunch of different companies that are contributing to the I guess to the donation or whatever. So it really climbed up there in value.
Assault accessories have been in quite the news lately.
I don't know. Some celebrities you just kind of
Chairs,
like-
microphones.
I did not expect for like this type of stuff to come out about Lizzo.
We're back on Lizzo?
No. I'm
How
just.
did we get there?
I thought we moved off of
No.
Lizzo.
I'm making a comparison, right? About Lizzo. Like you thought Lizzo was all about body positivity and like, like uplifting songs and like, Cardi B talks about, like violence
I was gonna say, to be fair, it's not
pretty
really out of
often.
character.
So if
I'm okay
she
with
throws
it.
a mic at somebody, like, is this surprising? Like,
No.
So
No, of course not.
whatever.
I'm all right with the Cardi B thing.
Like, I don't even think a lawsuit came out of this. They just kind of
No,
like,
That's not true. I think the girl is pressing charges.
No, she tried to sue and that got wiped. But the girl that got the ricochet hit, she
Yeah.
might have something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cardi got
Somebody's gonna make money off of this.
Yes.
For sure.
From my articles, it looks like the police opted not to do anything, but there could still be civil.
Of
suits.
course. Yeah.
But hey, man, we were just talking a few episodes ago about everybody that was attacking artists.
Right.
And now here we
Now
are in
all
the
the
inverse. I
artists.
feel like this is natural progression.
Yeah, the artists are like the orcas, man. They're fighting back.
Yeah, they're gonna. It's
Artists and the orcas.
gonna get
That's a real
dicey,
good-
dude.
That's a really good full circle.
everything
Right?
Artists and the
goes full
orcas,
circle.
they are fighting back.
Everything goes full circle.
Speaking
here.
of people fighting back,
Next item on the list, baby.
Theater experience recap.
Oh yeah, so this is towards the end though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We've only got one other absurd one.
What was the other absurd one?
Disney preps to be sold.
Perfect. Great. I know this one. Great. Perfect. Okay. So the theater experience thing, originally I was going to have that be the last item we talked about, but then I saw something that was even
We
more
talk about
absurd.
theater experience a lot.
The theater experience, this was a recap because for so long I was just dumping on theaters, but I hadn't actually been to one in a really long time. But in the last 2 weeks, I've been 4 times to a theater.
Wow.
You got COVID.
I've done, dude, I've been in
I heard
all
it's on the
kinds of
rise.
theaters. That's what they're saying.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
what-
So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
Wash your hands, boys.
and I know you guys. I know you've been to the theater recently.
Same.
So, and again, you're a big at-home.
We went
streamer.
together last week.
I understand that. So I was just going to recap my experience. I went to AMC in
After we went
Columbia.
to-
No. I went for Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, okay, yeah, you talking about
Oppenheimer.
that.
I went and saw that in IMAX Laser or whatever the hell it was. The AMC in
Pit
Columbia.
Viper.
Terrible experience.
Really?
No, it's okay. It's fine. So interesting.
I would think Columbia would be-
Interesting. Let me give you a little.
Did you
thing
eat out
about this. Yeah, we ate out there.
Within
We
access,
ate,
what
we
do you
ate
got?
that.
Did you go to Whiskey and Chicken?
No, what is that?
Did you go to that oyster bar?
Seafood place. That
The oyster bar?
Yeah, that.
Was it good?
The walrus. What is it called?
Yeah, whatever the hell that.
I've been
thing
meaning
is.
to check that out.
It's fine. I did the lobster rolls, pretty good.
My
It's
wife
not
likes
bad.
the
We did some
lobster.
oysters.
It is called the walrus.
They have a
walrus.
decent happy hour. It's not bad. It's worth
I like
checking
whiskey and
out.
chicken because their whiskey menu is extensive.
Okay.
So the AMC out there, though, very outdated. It's not refreshed. They don't have a bar. There's nothing like that that's happening.
They
It's not that
present
fun.
it outside like it's very much like up to date, and then
Correct.
you get in.
I would have
it's not.
thought they would have remodeled or done
Yeah.
something new on the inside, but they've not done that.
No, they haven't.
So
The one in Owens Mills, they
that's
did.
a little disappointing. Now, when we went and saw Oppenheimer, it was pretty packed, pretty sold out, and everybody that was there was very committed to the cause, which was a nice
They
feeling.
were wearing black coats.
No, not quite. But they were all paying attention and watching. I'm gonna
Okay.
this is gonna all make sense in a minute.
Copy.
Contrast to, I go to see Talk to Me the other night at Warehouse. Okay.
Talk
Which is a
to Me.
horror movie. A24.
Oh,
Talk to Me.
the black joint, right? Is it black?
No, you're thinking of
No, Talk to Me is like all I've been seeing
there
about.
is a black girl in it. Yes,
yeah,
the lead.
yeah,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
she's like this, like yeah.
Okay, there was another horror movie that was like a scary
Blackening.
movie kind of thing. Was it
The Blackening.
That's what I thought you were talking
No,
about.
no,
for a
no,
second.
no,
Okay,
talk to me. Yeah,
great.
yeah.
We're on the same page. Perfect.
Got it.
All
Let's
right.
go.
So anyway,
Think of
contrast to
Boom, boom, boom,
Warehouse.
boom, boom. Let's go.
The other night,
Yes.
Rotunda, Warehouse. I was at that. Emily and I, we were there. Sunday night, it was a 6:20 showing, something like that.
The black.
And not sold out, but a lot of people on their phones throughout the movie. A lot of people. This was also a weird thing that I had happen. Like a group of like 8 dudes came in like 45 minutes into the movie. Like young guys came through.
did what?
I don't. They just came through. They sat behind us, hung out. I mean, they just watched like the last 40 minutes of the movie, but they missed half of it.
They didn't care.
No, but like they like came in, then a couple of them left, then they came back. Very distracting, very odd
they were
behavior.
like 16 or
Yes,
high on
younger
yeah.
kids, and a lot of like talking, a lot of people on their phones, a lot of
Yeah, Buzz,
misbehavior.
that's not my theater
A lot of
experience.
misbehavior.
Yeah,
Is all I'm
misbehavior. You sound like.
But
you
the
sound
theater
very
experience
old.
is much nicer. That's all that I'm saying. Warehouse
at Columbia?
is nicer. And no. Columbia,
It stinks.
it's weird because the Columbia theater is lame, but I had a better audience experience. The Warehouse theater experience is better. From like a amenities perspective.
Yes.
But I had a less great audience experience. Like I had a lot of people that just seemed like they wandered into the movie. They didn't really know what they were
Are
watching.
you about the audience experience though?
I care about it in the sense of like if somebody is like I'm sitting here and then I can see somebody like scrolling on TikTok next to me, that's distracting.
What that bothers you?
Yes.
Wow.
The seat, if I'm sitting here and the person in front of me to the right is scrolling on TikTok and their phone volume is on.
Oh, the volume's on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's rude. That's
No,
different.
like I
I
hear
thought you could you just see them on TikTok and you're
I
like
hear TikTok.
movie police. Like put your phone away.
I hear TikTok in the distance.
Yeah. Nah. You should not have your phone out with the volume on.
I hear TikTok in the distance. I know it. What's going on, guys?
Nothing.
All right.
Please give me
Nothing at all.
Bring us into on
No,
the
we're
joke.
not.
Two
No,
of you
we're
guys
actually
over
we're
here
doing
just-
nothing related to this at all.
What the hell?
Yep.
All right. Very good.
I clocked out, clocking back in though. We're good.
Losers.
TBD.
Apple
Anyway,
Disney being sold to Apple. Go ahead.
I understand essentially why so many people are streaming stuff from home. That's all that I'm saying. I had a good experience with Oppenheimer.
I know. I
but-
absolutely agree. I don't feel like if you're going to come to the movies, you're going to make your experience worse for the people around you. Like if you're coming to the movies, you're coming to watch a movie. When I come, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb,
Yeah.
ringers off. My wife, if she's not with me, hey, movie starting. If it's an emergency, do the find my iPhone thing, ping it because I'm not looking at it. I'm watching the movie, and that's it. Like
It was $45 to have a lot of distraction, and these kids,
$45. Yeah.
and this guy on his TikTok, all this nonsense.
When are we gonna price out people who aren't gonna enjoy the movies, like teenagers? Like price them out.
Cannot do
Like
that.
after like 5 o'clock,
I got the
price
sense-
goes up.
Well,
know
that's
I
what
mean?
Reserve was trying to do, I feel like.
I think that's what we should do.
At what's it called?
Yeah,
Like-
but here's the thing. I got the sense, not to cut you off, I got the sense the kids that came in 45 minutes into the movie starting either knew somebody that worked there and they were just hanging out, just killing time, or they came from another movie and just ducked into this one because they were like, we don't want to pay for it. We're just going to go into this.
Up the price,
So,
bro. $25 a
I don't
ticket.
think cost, I don't know if that cuts people out or not. I'm not sure. But before we get off this topic, I did have Warehouse check my tickets
Really?
this time.
Good for you.
They had a girl at the entranceway
A young
to go
lady.
into the theater. And when we rolled up, I was like, I have my tickets on my phone. And she goes, you have to go get those printed from the desk up front.
Now this is that.
I had
that
some-
deters me
they've
from
had some
going back.
issues.
I had to go, which makes no sense because I had the QR code on my phone. She made me go get back in line at the concession stand, get up to the front. I showed the guy my thing. He scans it, prints out physical tickets,
Nah,
and then she let me in.
because when
So-
we went, we didn't scan. We went to the bar. The guy was like, "Come on over here." You
Yes.
pull out like an old beer card. He gives us $10 extra.
Yep.
Like it was an amazing experience. So for you to go back and then have to like actually like print out tickets, that's kind of corny.
I'm just saying.
Come
Either
on,
something
Warehouse.
happened or they're on her.
I don't know.
Some a manager kind of cracked down. They was like, "Yeah, yeah."
So I have a question for you guys because we all went together.
Yeah.
When we went to go see Mission Impossible, something strange happened for me and my mobile device. When I was in the theater, like the actual auditorium,
Yeah.
I didn't have any service.
No,
Yeah, no, you never have service
no.
there.
I've been twice, no service.
Okay, so it wasn't just me because I
correct.
thought the first time I went, I had service, but
No, that
no service.
that theater, just I don't know why, where it's positioned or where cell towers are. I'm not really sure what it is. But even when it was Cine Bistro, it was a dead zone. As soon as even when you get into the doors, like even if you're at the bar,
It's like a dome.
no
Yeah.
service. You literally have to go up to the window and like hold your phone up.
yeah,
to,
because
like,
when
the
we got
window.
back out to concessions and everything, I had service.
That's why
but as
I
soon
left
as-
out to call Chanel. I had to walk
Yeah.
all
As
the way
soon as
outside.
we were
and
back
wait for
It's a
in the
pain.
theater, we didn't have any service, and I was like, "Well, this makes for a great movie watching
which I
experience."
kind of like. Which
Yeah, I really
yeah.
liked it.
Yes, but they do have a Wi-Fi, a guest Wi-Fi that you can hop on if you want to, and that's how you get your service, baby. If you
Gotcha,
can,
gotcha,
just as a
gotcha.
heads up. All right, so I would say my theater going experience has been kind of 50-50. I still am leaning towards at home viewing at this stage in the game, though. What about you? I mean, you're a big at home viewer.
I don't like. I even like through the pandemic, pre-pandemic, I was a big Marvel guy, and I just kind of enjoy like the camaraderie of like going to see those movies and what have you. So I don't think I'll like stop for that. And like even like our experience like last week, like that was so fun to like get out and like watch like a blockbuster and like talk shit about it in the car and blah blah. Just like having that moment. But
There's something nice about that. I agree.
yeah, but I don't know if it's like I got a nice TV.
But also turn your phones off.
Yeah,
That's all
just
I'm
turn your phones off. I got a nice TV and I got a nice couch. I don't know if I'm like I don't know if I'm going to the movies for every movie
Sure.
now. Right? Like things I want to see immediately, yeah. But other than that, I can wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait for Barbie unless my wife is like, "Get up, you lazy motherfucker. Let's go watch the
Yeah.
movie." You know what I'm saying?
I'm just telling you, take her, initiate.
I will.
That's all I'm saying. All right,
Yeah, that's
we're
exciting.
running out of time. We're close to the end.
Yep.
Disney acquiring, Apple acquiring Disney. We're gonna
What's
do a little
this about?
speed round on this real fast.
I think this is a super interesting take because Timmy left, got fired from Apple, went and made Pixar. Pixar gets acquired.
I think
by
you're thinking of
Disney.
Stevie.
Stevie.
I
Stevie
said
boy.
Timmy.
Stevie.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I went to Potato Town. Steve,
Whatever that is.
Bardstown. Steve leaves. He makes Pixar. We get amazing stuff. He gets picked up, whatever. And now, full circle moment. We're back to what could potentially happen. And I've also read reports of Disney prepping itself for sale. And like, you think about it, like the only, potential buyers are,
Other giants, yeah.
Apple.
It seems
Amazon.
like the correct match if somebody
Right.
were
If-
to buy it.
Right.
I think there's a lot of big, I think there's a lot of big barriers in between that acquisition, perhaps. But
Oh, I don't think that will happen. I don't think
if anybody could do it,
It'd be
it would be
Apple.
Disney and Apple. Now,
Yeah.
the two of you guys were geeking out over there. Was there something you wanted to contribute to this piece?
No, it was actually nothing related.
Completely
to the
unrelated.
story.
I thought it was related.
Oh,
No,
wow,
Sorry,
no,
very
boys,
good.
not gonna give us any.
Cool, guys.
Great, thanks.
Cool, guys.
No,
After
we
the
were
show.
calling back to the
Exclude
blackening.
the host from the show.
After the
cool.
show.
Yeah, we were just talking about the
You
blackening.
really want to know what it
but-
was?
Oh, the blackening.
We were talking about the blackening.
Oh, okay,
all right,
great.
cool.
That actually has a pretty good Rotten Tomato score.
Yeah.
But back to the Apple acquisition. I don't know. I've heard more rumblings of this of late.
Same.
And it's interesting. I think it probably stems more from the fact that Disney is just going to start cutting some of their acquisitions. I think they're just going to start getting rid of some stuff. I think Hulu is gone. I think some of the ESPN stuff could be gone. I think they're going to start moving some stuff out and streamlining.
It would be
I could be
interesting.
wrong, but I think they're going to start streamlining and cutting back. I think they're going to get back to their core stuff. I think they got too much going on. I think they're going to start
They
liquidating.
built up this Apple studio to like make these in-house rather shows, which are fairly pretty good. I'm not gonna say they're not.
Yeah, I think they buy more shows and more movies than they actually produce or make.
Okay,
I could be wrong, but
I'm not gonna
most,
argue there.
most
Yeah,
of the
it could be
things
whatever.
that they have on the Apple TV's like whatever streaming service or whatever, they are in like they're affiliated with actual production companies.
Right.
So I think what's happening is production companies are making a show and I think they shop it out to other distributors and I think
And then
Apple
Apple's
says,
like, yeah,
we'll buy that.
give me that.
It's like with all their movies, Apple is not the one behind
They're
the
not
movie.
creating it.
They're just buying it when it goes up for sale.
which
and they're
makes me
just,
think,
you know,
much to like what happened with Disney buying the 21st Century Fox studio. I don't think Apple's going to buy Disney. I think Apple's going to buy the studios from Disney, and then Disney will still remain, an entity. And Disney's just kind of like, yeah, we're done, kind of like with that stuff. It's not making us no money.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
I could
Yeah.
see it happening with the Vision Pro thing happening. I do think there is going to be a space.
Yeah, they were all like holding hands on stage and all that.
I think there is going to be a space for content creation at a really high level. I think Disney has tapped into that more than anybody. I think Apple could see that as a potential partnership. I don't know. I mean, it would have to be the biggest acquisition of all time, I would think, Apple buying Disney. I don't think there would be anything that would even be comparable to it
From what I'm seeing on
dollar
a
standpoint.
Market Watch article, is that Disney is more interested in selling out their assets, like you were saying.
Yes.
And the biggest one being ESPN.
Yes.
Right. Like I would not mind for Apple to get ESPN. That would be amazing.
That would actually be great,
bro.
They
I
already
don't,
do, and they
I don't
do.
think
'cause
Apple wants that, though. I think
I
Apple,
think
They
do.
got their
They
foot
do,
in MLS.
because They have
got their
MLS
foot in
and they have
MLB.
and they have MLB. They do Friday Night Baseball.
They
which
don't
is
have like
actually
a sports like
They
arm.
don't.
Which they've
They
already
don't,
said just
but-
recently. They were looking at English Premier League and they said that they
That
don't
too.
want it because they weren't offered a large enough partnership in it. They didn't just want the rights to play it. They wanted
They want to,
Yes.
like
They
what they're
wanted to
doing.
work together
Yo,
on it.
their
And
Friday
ESPN
night
doesn't really
baseball,
do
But
that.
it's
Yes.
such an excellent production.
bro. Their
It is.
Friday
It's
night
good. It's
baseball
really,
is
really good. Yeah.
amazing
Yes.
compared to like what you
Massive.
see on like TBS or TNT or
Yeah.
ESPN.
Yeah. Or
It's
even
like-
when Fox gets the games, it's so much better
it's
on
an
Apple TV.
amazing
Yeah.
production, like from the 8K cameras to the 4K cameras to like how they do the hyperstats to just how they present it. It's so much better, and it's just seeing like what someone could do if they actually were to present better technology to sports. So
Apple is going to want to own too much of it, and they're going to want total say over distribution and how a customer experiences it.
Yeah.
And nobody in the sports, I think this has been made pretty clear. Like, I don't think anybody that's in Major League Sports is going to allow that.
Yeah.
I think nobody wants to turn over that amount of rights. Nobody wants to hand over that amount of control. I think Apple has tried with a lot of different major leagues. And at least that's my understanding. Like, I think they tried with Sunday Ticket. I think they've made their best offer, but nobody wants to give up control, and Apple is going to want total control.
Like,
so I think sports is out for Apple. I think they're better off trying to just integrate with the services that exist. And I think they tried their best shot at it.
It's like Amazon does Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, but that's a small piece of the puzzle.
That's
right?
what I think Apple needs to start with.
They don't want that. Apple wants all or nothing.
Yeah, they're starting with very, very obscure
and they're a
sports.
big name that
all or nothing.
That could easily do that.
I think this is why the ESPN acquisition makes so much sense, because they get a little bit more of that all or nothing if they get ESPN.
Because licensing rights, right? It wouldn't just be Apple, right? Because, I think with the licensing rights for ESPN, they have a deal with ABC, right? So if Apple were to get ESPN, they would still have to honor the licensing rights to ABC for local cable.
I think that deal is dead on arrival. I don't think that's ever happening.
Oh, man.
I think the only deal that happens here, and I think it's a huge long shot, I think Disney strips everything off of them that isn't core to the brand, and I think that Apple buys that.
I don't think you can do that, because what happens is you limit the viewing and then people can't access it.
I disagree. I think so? Apple wants, to your point a little bit, like Apple wants the studios. Apple wants the original content. They want Marvel. They want Pixar. They want all of the old school Disney content. They want the parks. They want the technology. They want notoriety. They want all that. I don't think Apple cares about the sports. I don't think they care about Hulu. I don't think they care about any of that. I think they want Jon Favreau. I think they want these creators. I think they want the sauce that Disney has. They don't care about Hulu or ESPN or any of those.
If we're being completely honest, then the sauce is in the parks, and Disney is in.
But also that they want that. They want the technology.
They're not getting that.
They would, if they bought Disney, they would have that. That would be a part of the deal.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then it would be, Apple Watches for all of your payments. It would be Apple Vision Pro on rides, or like think of all the different levels of integration and the technology that Disney has that Apple could potentially benefit from. I think like the Apple Vision Pro and what Disney does from a creative standpoint, those two things are like the ultimate powerhouse if you were to combine
I think the parks, Disney has their hands in a lot, but I think the parks are the big thing that people are exposed to Marvel and they're exposed to that thing. But when you go there and you experience that in person, the rides, just all of the experience is incredible.
The parks are what
the immersion
is just.
The parks are what the Apple Store is to technology and to like creativity, right? Yeah. So you go to the park, and that's like, as far as like creative, like content in movies and all of that, like the park is the Apple Store.
Yeah.
And the Apple Store is like to technology,
right?
I gotcha. So like, I feel like that it all kind of adds up a little bit.
So do you see a purchase or do you see a partnership?
Oh, a purchase. They would just buy it, I think.
Yes.
I think Disney would remain a thing. Like, I think they would just own it.
They would call it Apple Park.
Yeah, they wouldn't call it.
They've already got one of those.
They wouldn't call it that.
Apple Park.
But they would like own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right, guys. That brings us to the end. We're going to skip watch lists and we're just going to wrap this up.
We will talk about Hijack at some point, boys. I'm going to tell you this.
All right. I've not seen it.
You watched it?
But
you watched it?
It will happen.
You watched it?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I finished it. It's great.
I love.
Did you finish it yet?
I have not finished it yet.
Oh my god!
All right,
Catch up, bud. Catch up.
In a week. So we're done. We're done.
We're out next week.
So that's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Chanel watched Hijack and she was like, "Oh, it's so awesome."
There's 7 episodes, boys.
Is it done?
It's done.
All right.
It finished 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and it is a thriller.
Episode 64. We'll talk about Hijack.